We've got Volmer Berg here with Mancini Watches.
Is happy to be on board with Revenue Labs. We did about 160K in revenue.
Awesome, man.
After we signed with Sam. We're now at 41%.
Awesome, Volmer, man. I appreciate that.
And our flows are doing a lot better.
Fantastic.
And you'll be successful, almost guaranteed. 1,000,000%.
Hey, what's up, guys? We've got Volmer Berg here with Mancini Watches, who is kind enough to hop on, share some of his experiences with email, working with us, and just generally how email marketing affected his store. So, Volmer, I'll let you do a quick intro of yourself.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Sam. So I'm Volmer. I run Mancini Watches, and yeah, I've been in e-commerce for quite a few years now, and is happy to be on board with Revenue Labs and Sam. So yeah.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much. So, Volmer, just to keep this kind of light, I'd love for you to share your experience, working with us. I think a good place to start is where were you at, before you came to us? How were you with email, and just generally what your struggles were? I'll let you kind of go through that.
Absolutely. So before I share my screen and go in and talk about our specific numbers and so forth, I've been with multiple agencies now for email marketing over the last few years across different brands. And a common problem I consistently see with most email marketing agencies is that they set up flows one time and then they do some very generic campaigns, and that becomes a problem over a longer period of time because they really just exhaust your list and create very little value from you. And once those initial flows are set up, they're going to at some point start doing worse. And if you're not optimizing them, like most agencies are not doing, that eventually becomes a problem. But I'll share where we were at because we're not in a very good place before meeting Sam and Revenue Labs. And I'll take you through our last 30 days with them as well. So let me just hide this one. So this is analytics boards of our Klaviyo. As you can see, it's Mancini Watches. We did about 160K in revenue. We were doing 8% of that from Klaviyo, and we had actually quite a few email flows set up. Some of them have been turned off after we worked with Sam. But we also didn't send out any campaigns. At this point, we had exhausted our list a little bit, which means that we weren't making a lot of money when sending out campaigns. So we completely stopped sending campaigns for a while. However, email marketing wise, we were not in a very good place. And this is even after we've been working with the agencies and taking it in-house and so forth. Yeah, that's why we decided to start with Sam and Revenue Labs. He himself seemed very promising. And if I go to the last 30 days, which today will be from the 19th of April to the 19th of May, so a little over a month after we signed with Sam, we're now at 41%, which makes out of 54K of our total revenue. And our flows are doing a lot better. Our campaigns are doing a lot better. We even have campaigns that bring in over $3,000 of revenue from a 50K list that previously have been exhausted a lot, and we weren't making more than probably a couple $100 off those campaigns before jumping on with Revenue Labs. So yeah.
Awesome, Volmer. Thank you so much for sharing that, man. And Volmer, what were some of your fears potentially before joining us? What was going through your mind? What were some of the fears that you had?
I would say our main fear was probably just signing with another email marketing agency that was going to exhaust our list and not actually bring any real value to us, but also our customers in terms of the content they're doing through email campaigns and also just the promotions. I don't particularly like signing on with agencies anymore, just because I think most of them sell very little value for the money they're charging. And I'm a strong believer it's better to build in-house. However, there are some things like when we're talking email marketing where you can go so specific, especially when you're running the type of agency you're running, where you outcompete in every metric, and it no longer makes sense to do it in-house. So you've done a great job on that.
Awesome, Volmer, man. I appreciate that. So what were some things that you were kind of expecting from this engagement to be successful, and how did we meet them according to your standards?
The first one would be to save our email list in terms of the exhaustion that's been done on it, and further build it. So one of the things that you and I talked about in the beginning when we were on that first call was how exhausting our list was, and also bringing in new leads to the list or new recipients to our email list. And the first week, you guys changed out the submission form we have on our website on a pop-up, and it immediately tripled our submission rates coming in, which for us meant that now 3 times the people were actually signing on to our email list. So I think that was one main expectation. We really needed new leads to come on to the email list in order for us to be successful long-term on the email. So that was definitely one expectation you guys met. Great. And then the second one was obviously just our flows, setting them up properly and doing the proper segmentation between new purchases and old purchases and so forth. So overall, very happy in terms of expectations and how they've been met in such a short time as well.
Fantastic. I appreciate that, Volmer. And from your experience, after we've had our engagements and we've worked together for now, I believe 2.5, almost 3 months, where is your store at from an email perspective specifically, and how do you find that? So how has that journey progressed for you?
So obviously going from 8%, which is not a very good space to be in, it's sort of just, we had our expectations in terms of how great we could become in email. When you have an exhausted list, which I know is a problem for other brands owner as well, because they've been running their list incorrectly or not nurturing correctly, you just become your hopes dial down a little bit in terms of what's possible. So I mean, that we'd even be able to accumulate up to the 40% again has been great. And that's really the main thing is you were able to take us out of the space of 8% and even further crush it and bring us above 40% at times. I think we're around 40% right now. So yeah.
Fantastic. Awesome, man. And I totally love that. So for somebody watching, potentially watching this, Volmer, somebody who might not understand the importance of email, or maybe they've been burnt by an agency before. There are also obviously many solid agencies out there that produce solid results and stuff. But just for somebody that might have been burnt in the past, etc., what would your words be to them? To really focus on dialing in email in the right way.
Yeah, I would say first of all, stop signing on with agencies that you're going to fail with. And what I mean by that is essentially, if they're not sitting there and explaining you, breaking down and doing an audit of your account of specifically exactly how they're going to do you better, they're not going to do you better, because if they're not able to bring the audit, and if they don't care enough to actually go through your results and give your specific reasons or specific a blueprint of how they're going to do it, it just means that they're not able to do it. They don't have a strategy in place for you. They're not willing to actually take the extra time and go through it before actually signing on with you. So stop signing on with those failed agencies. And another thing is, even though you might think you're great at email marketing, or you've never touched it before and you want to maybe learn and then build it in-house with an email manager and stuff like that, it's really, really difficult, even when you have a lot of experience. I've been running brands for 4 to 5 years now. I know how to run email marketing, but it is still difficult, even when you're putting email managers on one-on-one courses and stuff like that, because you're at the end of the day the one that's in charge of it. So it's never going to exceed how great you are at email marketing. So if you're a beginner or very experienced, there's someone out there that can do it better, because it's all they do and they will be able to outcompete you. It's just about finding the right agency, which in many other cases, it's good to build in-house. And I'd actually recommend email marketing being one of the only times you outsource to an agency. So yeah, if that's holding you back, just go ahead and sign on with Sam. He'll walk you through it. He'll do proper strategy for you, and you'll be successful. That's almost guaranteed.
I really appreciate that, man. Thank you so much. So, for your potentially even your friends or, other store owners out there watching, would we be an agency that you recommend, not only from a results perspective, because I think working with an agency, there's many other facets that are important, such as communication, such as genuinity. Where is there a place that, or a specific area that you felt that we've, really stood out in? And I'd love to share your experience and your honest, thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, 1,000,000%. I think a lot of my friends that are in the industry, or a lot of other people, they may think they have pretty good results in email if they're doing 15, 20% and so forth, but they just don't know what's out there. I mean, I'd recommend to you guys, anyone, I have recommended you guys to multiple people. And I think some brand owners tend to get a little bit just fed up with email marketing, and it just wants someone to do it. And once they find someone that are okay, they stick to them. I highly recommend you over and over seek out the best people in the industry. And even when you have someone like Sam, I would put someone and actually go through the account and do audits, making sure you have all the flows that are necessary and so forth. Always get second opinion and so forth. Essentially, another thing that's very important when you're working with agencies is communication. The advantage of working with agencies is that they lift the operational side from you, so you don't have to actually operate a team within, which obviously is a lot more time on your end. But then it's important that they fill you in correctly and they are asking the right questions. That's another way to actually tell if they're good agencies. Do they even ask you about your customer avatar? Do they even ask you about your brand guidelines and so forth? If they don't, well, it's because they don't know what they're doing, right? So with Sam, you get, weekly looms, you can have bi-weekly calls. You get to decide how you want your preferred communication, which is a big advantage. You're not run into a system where it's already in place and they can only do it this way because that's what they do for all their clients. So I just think that, Sam's able to, meet your requirements or your expectations in terms of communication as well, which is a big, big plus. And his team members are great. And yeah, really it comes very well together, and I'd recommend him to anyone, and anyone looking for serious email marketing as well.
Awesome, Volmer. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your insights. And guys, I appreciate everyone listening in as well. So thank you again, Volmer, and looking forward to crushing it with you, throughout the future as well, man.
Absolutely, man. Take care, guys.